This is ASOTU Unscripted, and I'm your host, Errol Bomar.
All right, what's up, beautiful people? Welcome back. Errol Bomar here, ASOTUCon 2025. We're super excited. Of course, this is Unscripted. Now, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. If you haven't caught on already, I want you to start clapping right now. I don't care that you're virtual. Wherever you are, clap, stomp your feet, whatever you might need to do. Just make some noise, right? I want to feel that energy, and I want you to feel this energy that we're bringing here at Unscripted. And I'd like to welcome up my next guest, Allan Krutsch. Allan, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. All right, so first off, did you bring talking points?
I did not. This is Unscripted.
Good. I just wanted to make sure. I was going to say, if I see no cards or anything, we're tossing them out, all right?
Right.
All right, so tell me a little bit about, first off, is this your first ASOTUCon?
No, I was actually at the very first event, the inaugural event.
Yes.
And I haven't been here for a couple of years, so this is really exciting. Just the transformation of this show and the momentum they've gotten, and really, I think the amount of buy-in from their audience into making this a better industry.
I love that. Well, welcome back. We're glad to have you here. It's super exciting, right? And so tell me a little bit about, because I always ask this question. Tell me about, we're going to go talk about then, right, which is how you started, how you got into the whole automotive space, and then a little bit about where you are now, and maybe we'll even talk about future. But tell me about then, your origin story, so to speak.
Yeah, so many people that I've met, and I'm an example of this too, got in the car business by accident.
Okay.
I had a pretty good job in ladies fashion, high-end resort wear.
Right, okay.
I was at a sales meeting on the island of Sardinia, 90 miles off the coast.
It's a pretty solid sales meeting.
Oh my God.
I mean, if there's a place to have a meeting, I'm sorry to interrupt.
So this does not have a happy ending.
Okay, all right.
So I'm at the sales meeting.
Yes.
And last day of the meeting, they decided they could live without me.
Wow.
And so I flew back to America without a job.
Wow.
And I had this thing.
Yes.
Where I've never been out of work since I was 16 years old.
I understand that mindset.
I always had this feeling, I don't like these guys that say, I've been looking, but there's nothing really right for me.
Right.
It doesn't meet my qualifications. And I called a friend who was in the car business. He was working at a BMW store, and I said, look, this will just be temporary. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
But I need a job till I can find a real job. That was 25 years ago.
I love it. I love that. That's great.
So I kind of rolled into the car business, and it's been really a wonderful, wonderful career.
Yes. Now, of all the places to have a termination happen, I don't know that Greece is the worst. Like, I know that it's a bad situation. Don't get me wrong.
It was a beautiful place for that event to happen.
Right.
And right up until that point, I thought I was living pretty large.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, tell me a little bit more about now, right? Because obviously 25 years later, that's a long journey. But has there been a moment in that journey where you've been able to identify and say, you know what, this is it. This is the moment where I can clearly say, I love people more than I love this product?
Well, I think you make a good point, and maybe I'll come at it from a little different angle.
Okay.
I like cars.
Yes.
But I'm not a car guy. I'm not dreaming of a Ferrari.
Okay.
I appreciate cars.
There you go.
But what has been really the gratifying thing for me is kind of the community that forms in this industry. As you're well aware, this is a large industry and a big part of the U.S. economy, but it's a very small business.
Yes.
In terms of the people we know, the way we cooperate, and of course, delivering that customer experience at retail. That's the essence of everything. And there are some measurements that we have for how well we're doing. That's called CSI, Customer Satisfaction Index.
Yes.
And I think everybody who has been successful that I've observed understands that ESI is more important than CSI, meaning employee satisfaction.
Yeah.
Because there are no happy customers where there are no happy employees.
100%.
And so the way that we build these teams, the way that we nurture them, it's one of the inspiring things about this business. And, when I spoke to Kyle about joining you today, we talked about one particular instance It's inspirational to me. And, and what that is the transformative nature of a career in the auto business.
Okay.
So I know a young woman.
Yeah.
And she came to me. She was struggling. She had been through college. She had trained to be a designer.
Oh, wow.
She didn't like that. She moved into doing facials. She was an aesthetician.
Yes, okay.
Working at a very high-end salon.
Yeah.
She loved the vibe.
Right.
She didn't like the $28,000 a year and not being able to afford an apartment. And
absolutely.
She was nearing her 30s, and she was saying, "Is this it?
Right. Wow. Yeah.
Where do I go? You know, I don't want much, but can't life
I need
be
more
better?
than this. Yes.
I need more than this." And I introduced her to a HR department at a dealer group.
Okay.
And it was a funny series of events. They put her into kind of a BDC phone answering role.
Yeah.
And that was clearly wrong from day one.
I love that guy.
And so she was panicking. She came back for some counseling, and we talked, and I said, "You got to go to HR. Don't torture yourself, and don't torture them.
Absolutely.
If this isn't a fit, and you're going to have to play the cards they deal you. There may not be another position."
Okay.
HR said, "Well, look, you're a nice young woman, but I got nothing other than you could go to our Honda store and sell cars."
Okay.
Now,
talk about a pivot.
When she entered the car business, what she told me, she said, "I'll do anything, but I don't want to sell."
So, of course, that's how it always works. The one thing you say, I absolutely don't want to do.
Not that.
Yes.
So she went to Honda, and it turns out she's a natural-born salesperson.
Wow.
And super competitive. The first month, she sold 30 cars.
Okay.
That's a lot of cars.
That is a lot of cars. I know. I was in the industry. That's a lot of cars.
That's a lot of cars for your first month.
Yes.
So if we fast forward with her career, she started kind of in the, I think, first quarter of the year.
Okay.
By the end of the year, she, in this very large group, had made the top 10%. She went on the trip, the reward trip.
They didn't go to Greece, did they?
No, thank God. Nobody's going back. Nobody's going back. And then within about a year, she became a sales manager.
Okay.
Okay, so this is somebody that's moved from a modest salary.
Right, yes.
To life-changing income.
Impact, yeah.
Where now she can breathe.
Yeah.
She's got an apartment. She's got a car. She's got some spending money.
Right.
She's got a 401k. This happens within a year.
Right.
To somebody with no experience, but somebody with a personality and some drive and the ability to relate to people. And as I talked to her more, she said, "This is actually not as hard as I thought. I just have to help people get the car they want, kind of solve the problems. Sometimes it's a decision problem. Sometimes it's a credit problem.
Yes.
So if I just listen and solve the problem, a lot of people want to buy new Hondas."
Wow.
Now that sounds profound and yet simple.
Right, yes.
But so nonetheless, she moved on from there, went to a bigger store. And now this is all within 3 years. She's now one of the managers in their training department, training other new hires how to succeed in the car business.
I love it.
I love it too. And Errol, here's the punchline.
Uh-oh.
It's my daughter.
Ha!
So you can imagine.
Right, absolutely.
How I feel.
But wait a minute. Here's what I heard runs in the family. Neither of you really wanted to, like you said, it was hey, I stumbled into the car business. I don't want to sell cars, but then I excel at selling cars, right? And just the same way as you said, 25 years later, here you look up, and now you've created another life that's a legacy. That's amazing.
It's always surprises me because very few people get out of college and go, yeah, I talked to my mom and dad and the career counselor. I'm thinking about used cars.
Right.
Said no one ever.
No one ever, yes.
But here's the little secret is that people that enter this business, they enter at retail, they find, wow, I don't need a master's degree to make a six-figure income.
Absolutely.
I can find a way to either excel as a sales professional,
absolutely,
manage my own life, my own business, or there's opportunities to learn how to be a manager,
Yes.
learn how to be an inventory person. So many great opportunities in this business that don't have some of the same barriers that other careers do.
100%.
How much experience? Where's your education?
Yes.
Those type of things.
Who did you train under? Who is your mentor? All of that other stuff.
Exactly right. This
Yeah.
this industry is full of opportunity.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing too, because one of the things that is key is that it is the people that create and drive that opportunity, and it really is up to you to determine the trajectory of where you want to go. I'm so glad that she didn't give up, that she did say, hey, this particular fit isn't for me, but then the one fit that she thought wasn't going to be for her turned out to be her pathway, you know?
So there's a lesson in there about the surprises that life will throw at you.
Absolutely.
And how with the right attitude and some flexibility and maybe a little bit of desperation,
Yeah.
where you say, I'm going to take the opportunity even though I don't know what the future looks like.
Absolutely. And I don't even know that I would call it. I mean, I do understand and agree with the desperation, but you know what it sounds like more to me is a level of humility, right? Having the humility to be able to say, I'm not above X, Y, and Z, right? And even just being able to go at something that you're unfamiliar with, you haven't been trained in, you don't necessarily have a background, to be humble enough to say, you know what, I want to try this, I want to learn this. And then once you recognize, like, oh wait, like she said, this is easy. All I have to do is listen and solve the problem, whatever the problem might be. That's an amazing way to not only attack this business but also life in general, you know. So kudos to you, Dad.
I think it's a really insightful comment, that idea of humility, which
Yeah.
is important throughout a career. And there's a concept called beginner's mind.
Yes.
And I think being able to keep a beginner's mind and say, I'm confident, but I don't know everything.
Right.
And I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to come into an unfamiliar situation. And as you say, be humble.
Yeah.
And see where life leads me.
That's amazing. So that kind of gives us a little bit about the now, which is an amazing now. Are you projecting, like, what are you projecting and seeing, not only for your daughter, because, I mean, her trajectory sounds like she's off to an amazing start, and who knows where that's going to lead us. I can't wait till I see you at the next ASOTUCon and we talk more about it and see where she's at, you know, a year from now, 2 years from now. But what about yourself? Any future plans that you're, like, excited about coming up in the automotive space, or just in general?
There are, and, you know, let's just put a pin in this, because maybe
Yes.
next year I'm working for my daughter. Okay, based on what she's achieving right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm hoping that I interview well, you know.
That's it. Hopefully she takes a chance on you. She sees something in you.
That's
and she's
a
willing
fact.
to take a chance.
In my current role as the director of enterprise CDP for Claravoy, one of the things that's really exciting to me is how dealers are now really leaning into the use of their first-party data.
Okay.
And starting to manage with data,
Yes.
with analytics. And one of the things that they're uncovering that is maybe a little unexpected is you think, okay, we can be more efficient, we'll save money, we'll be more targeted. That's the blocking and tackling
Yes.
of data analytics and marketing. The unlock here, though, is the customer experience you create when you stop jamming their email box full of stuff they don't want,
Yeah.
but looking at the communication as right message at exactly the right time
Yeah.
on the right topic. Because we've all had that experience where we look at the inbox or we see the ads that are in our feed and we go, stop.
Yes. Unsubscribe.
But
All
there's
the
another
things.
experience we have that goes, well, that's interesting.
Yes.
Because I'm looking for new athletic shoes.
Right.
And I love those.
Yeah.
And hey, that was pretty
How
good
did they
timing.
know?
How'd
Right.
they know?
Yeah.
And so that little bit of surprise and delight when you do marketing well, it's one of those few virtuous business cycles.
Yes.
Costs less, works better,
Yeah.
customers like you more. Usually you get to pick 2 out of 3. So
Yes.
when it's done right. And so that's exciting to me as we start to, one, have better business outcomes, but also treat our shoppers and our customers better.
Yeah, and you're absolutely correct, because I think, and what a lot of times that you can focus on is your own personal experience, right? Because we all are victim to that cycle. No matter whatever the product is, I have emails right now that I'm like, unsubscribe. Right. But I also have those emails where I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? This is good time.
Save for later.
Exactly.
I want to spend some time with that company.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely.
That's who we want to be.
Yes.
That company at the right time.
Yes, I agree. That's 100%. But that takes a level of intentionality of recognizing, understanding your people, and even as your daughter said, listening and solving the problem. I think that's such a huge takeaway that we just don't it's listening and then solving the problem. Because if I can do those two things, it becomes easier. You know.
So I'll wrap up our time together here.
Yes.
And give you what I think is what modern selling is all about. And I think that just looking at my daughter as inspiration, helping is the new selling.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to be sold. Everybody wants help buying the right thing.
Absolutely.
And particularly the dream of a new car.
Absolutely.
They want help doing it. They don't need the pressure or the, in quote, salesmanship.
Right.
But would you listen to me and help me get what I want?
That's it.
Seems simple, but obviously takes some intentionality.
I love that. Well, Allan, thank you so much for your time. Well, you've heard it here, folks. It's that simple. Listen, work to solve the problem, but more intentionally, be intentional about listening to what people need and want, and just be that help agent when they need you, right? That's the main thing. This is Unscripted. I want to thank you again for joining us. And if your daughter, if you are working for your daughter next year, we got to get her on too, all right? So
all right.
Hopefully she sees this. Congratulations. And we'll hopefully see you at the next ASOTUCon next year, and you can tell us all about your rising in success. So thank you again.
Thanks, Errol.
Appreciate your time. My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Unscripted. At ASOTU, we're obsessed with uniting people around one big idea, that thriving people are the only path to a thriving and profitable industry. If that resonates with you, then head over to morethancars.com, join our email list, and explore our full list of podcasts.